All right, good morning, guys. My name is Perla Cerrone. I'm a double gold consultant, two-time IATAN card holder, and we're going to be talking about I'm a travel agent now. What are we supposed to do now that we're a travel agent? We have our certification, we've gone through all the training modules, we are registered with vendors and suppliers, but what are we supposed to do? How do we get clients? How do we really put ourselves out there to now start promoting ourselves, our business? Okay. So I was asking everybody, now that we have had, or now that we went through our certification, we went through the modules, we registered with vendors and suppliers, we're connected with the teams. Did anybody ever do a announcement post? If you don't know what an announcement post is, just be honest and just say, I don't know what it is. This is judgment-free zone. I'm here to help you. So yes, pretty much everybody said yes. There was one no. I sure did. We haven't yet. Yes, but only on Facebook. Okay. Okay, cool. So for those that said no, the importance of doing an announcement post is think about it this way. You're now a travel agent, or now you just started something new, right? How can you expect people to know that you're a travel agent if you're not telling them, right? We cannot expect results, or we cannot expect people to all of a sudden come flocking to us if we're not actually telling them, right? And obviously, it's not doing it in a way that we're going to be spammy, right? Nobody wants us to be spammy, and we're not going to be spammy. I'm not going to show you how to be spammy, but it's more so like, hey, look what I just did. I can help you with X, Y, and Z. Okay. So it's important um to do a announcement post to say, hey, I'm a travel agent now, regardless of whichever team you're on, whoever your mentor is, what I would recommend is reach out to them and ask them if they have a certain script or a certain uh like caption or something that you can mirror or potentially copy to then share on your social media pages, whether if it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever. But for the purpose of today's training, we're sticking with Facebook. Okay. I'm not going to go too much into Instagram or anything like that because that's honestly, Instagram is completely different than Facebook. And I feel like that's just a training for another day. So we're just going to stick to Facebook for today. So for example, I can kind of share something that I have for our team in terms of like announcing yourself. Most likely they're going to be pretty similar. But this is going to be, let me see if I can find it here. There it is. All right, I'm going to copy it and paste it into the chat. Hopefully it comes through. I think you may just need to um fix spacing or something like that. Okay, so that's kind of like a very generic type of announcement post that you can copy and you can then paste and share, all right? But what I personally would recommend, make it your own, put your personality in there a little bit. If you feel like it doesn't sound like you, then don't post it. Do something different, all right? You're gonna hear me reference you're going to hear me reference a lot using ChatGPT. So you could literally copy this into ChatGPT and you can tell ChatGPT, hey, I'm a travel agent. I just got my certification. Create an announcement post that I can share on my Facebook with my friends and family. Okay. And see what it gives you. Now, again, ChatGPT is most likely going to be a little bit of trial and error when you're first starting to use it, because if you're new to it, it's not going to know you and it's not going to know like your background or how you like things to be done. So most likely when you're first using ChatGPT, it's going to be very like robot. All right. And nobody likes that. Nobody wants you to be robot. We want you to be you and we want you to be yourself. Okay. Now I will say if you guys are not taking notes, take notes. I did not create any slides for this training. I'm going based off of my notes that I wrote down in terms of key points I want to hit. So that's why I'm recording this. So that way, if you guys miss something, you can go back and listen to it again. Okay. And go, if you need to slow it down because I talk too fast or whatever, you can certainly do that. All right. So now that you have your certification, you made your announcement post, things like that. The next thing that you want to do is, all right, are you going to be someone that's going to be creating business cards and or promoting yourself using business cards? All right. So I'm going to show you really quick how to find the step by step, or not step by step. I wouldn't say that step by step, but more so a guide on what it is that you need to have on your business card as an agent that is partnered with Archer. Okay. So for those of you that don't know because you're new, you're going to come, let me just share my screen. Okay. You are going to go to the Travel Cafe. And the easiest way for me to find it, I don't know if there's an easier way to do it, but I just type in here business card on the search box. And then you're going to go to this one here, business card requirements. And these are all the things that you need to have on your business card. All right. It's important for you to follow this because with us being, yes, we're independent contractors, but we are licensed and affiliated with Archer. It's important that we have their licensing information and the credentialing there. Okay. So that's not to say that you cannot personally have a business name or brand yourself, because 100% that's what we want you to do. Okay. But you're going to need to have just a few different things. All right. I'm going to quickly show you what my business card looks like. Just as a reference, just as a guide, you can quickly see. So this is the front of my business card. All right. So you see there is nowhere on there does it say Archer. Nowhere on there does it say Evolution. Okay. It has my business name. It has a little slogan or something like that, whatever you want to call that, that I did. And then this is the back of it. All right. It has my information on there. And you see the required information down on the bottom right. Okay. It is small on there on purpose because that's not the focus of my business card. My business card is me. I am talking about me and I want them to know me and my business name. But I have that there for a reason because we have to, right? So just an example there. Now, let me pause because I don't want you guys to see that. Okay. I'll show you guys that later. So you have the business card. I personally did mine and created mine on Canva, and then I ordered them on Canva. It was a lot cheaper than ordering through the back office because then you can personalize it. You can make your own. You can add your business name, logo, things like that. And then I ordered it through Canva, but I know a lot of other agents, they'll use Vistaprint. They will do there's another one, I can't think of it. There's one in particular that will give you like free business cards if you do points. But I personally couldn't get into that one. I didn't like it. So I personally loved Canva. So I ordered it through there. It's very easy to create something. You can search in Canva business card, or you can search in Canva logo, and then from there, create your logo if you haven't already done that. Create your logo with your business name, and then from there, convert that into a business card. It will automatically change the dimensions for you, and then you can select, you know, if you want to keep the same colors, things like that. Okay. So thinking of that, right? Again, ordering business cards and creating business cards, that's going to be a personal preference. It's not required by any means, okay? But if you do that, there's obviously some benefits. If you're networking, you can hand them out. Like for example, yesterday I went to church. I handed them out to a woman that came up to me after church to kind of introduce herself to me. She was actually looking to plan a Royal Caribbean cruise. And I was like, oh, here's my business card. So I handed it to her. So that's a benefit there, right? Obviously, the other benefit, is it a cost? Yes, but then it's a tax write-off. Okay, so at the end of the year, now tax season comes up. I ordered business cards, new ones this year, so I will include that on my list of tax write-offs for my tax accountant for her to include on my business expenses. There are a lot of agents that will do digital business cards. I know Popl is one of them, L. You can create it on the website or on the app, and then it's a digital business card. It has like a QR code, people can scan it, and then your information is transferred over to that person. They also have like little I forget what those things are called, but that you put them on your phone and it's like a little circle, and then you can like hold the phone with it. I don't know what those are called. But they have like little gadgets like that that you can then put like your QR code or like phone accessories that have your business information from specifically from Popl. So again, everyone's different. There's no right or wrong. You're just going to have to decide what it is that you want to do, how you want to present yourself, and go from there. Okay. So now that you kind of have all those things, does anybody go ahead and put a 1 in the chat box if you feel like there are so many trainings that you don't know which one is the best to go to? There's so many trainings in the day, Perla. I have no idea. How am I supposed to know which one's going to be the best one for me? How am I going to know which one's going to benefit me the most? Brain is on overload. Yes. Yes. Okay. So pretty much a lot of ones. Yeah. And that's normal. All right. You're not crazy for feeling that way because I 100% felt that way too. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a few tips. Don't go to all the trainings just to go to the trainings. You are going to just, and I say this in the most kindest way ever, you're going to waste your time and it's going to be a waste for you. And the reason I say that is because if you're attending a training on safaris and you could care less about safaris, why are you attending a training about safaris? Right? So look at the training schedule, okay? And I'm going to show you. This is what I used to do when I first got started. I would go to the training schedule for the day. I would look at it, whether if I was looking at it on a day-to-day basis or if I was looking at it on a month-to-month basis. All right, so let me share my screen. No, I'm getting all these calls. Everybody wants to call me right now. Okay, so training schedule. For those of you that don't know, and for those of you that are not yet plugged into our Facebook group, Travel Knowledge 2.0, you should be. Okay, this is something that was in your initial onboarding. This is another way for you to get connected with the team. You're going to see updates. This is where I shared this training last night. This is where people will shout other people out for bookings, for team building, training schedules, or training or schedule changes, things like that. You're going to get the most information in terms of updating things from here. Okay. You'll also be able to find the training schedule on the Travel Knowledge website as well. But for example, this is today, right? So obviously my training's not listed on here because it was a last minute training that I decided to do. So looking towards the rest of the day, all times are in PST. Let's say for those of you that are new and for those of you that are like, well, I want to start promoting my business, but I don't really know what could I do? Like what kind of trainings today look like are good for me to join or to attend? Okay. So at first glance, the training at 3 p.m. Pacific time, so that would be 6 p.m. Eastern, would be the travel ad creation using Expedia Tap. This is going to take you using Expedia Tap, how to create a travel ad, how to search for the travel information, and then post it and promote it. Okay. So look to see what is going to benefit me. What is something that I really need help in? Do I need help in marketing? Do I need help in team building? Do I need help in kind of getting things rolling? And look to see what's on the schedule that's going to satisfy that need. All right. If you have no desire at all in special disability travel, then do not attend the special disability travel training. Okay. It's not going to hurt anybody's feelings, but use the schedule as a guide, as okay, how can I use this? What trainings are going to benefit me today in what it is that I am needing help with? Okay. And same thing. So when you go and look at, let me pull it up here. The travel for the Travel Knowledge website, For those that are newer and are still kind of working through your modules and things like that, you're going to get to a point where you're going to see, or you're going to be able to join, you'll be able to see master training calendar sheet. Okay. And just a tip, please don't take this monthly calendar as like set in stone. And the reason I say that is because we create this schedule a month in advance, pretty much. So anything can change on a day-to-day, meaning schedule trainings could get last minute canceled. Trainings, the Zoom information could all of a sudden change because of a conflict or something, right? And we're human, we make mistakes. So use it as a guide, like a loose guide to kind of say like, okay, I'm going to plan out my month or I'm going to plan out my week and I'm going to look to see what trainings this week I can attend that are really going to help me with my business, whether if it's promoting, whether if it's growing my team building, or whatever, right? And then write them down. Then as each training schedule gets released each day, just double check. Make sure that whatever training you were hoping to attend that day is still there on the schedule, and just try to stay plugged in as best as possible. Because again, some things may happen last minute that are sometimes unfortunately out of our control. So if we're looking ahead to tomorrow, look at tomorrow's schedule, okay? So maybe if you haven't yet attended new agent orientation and you want to do that, boom, you have an opportunity there. Maybe you're interested in starting team building and you're not sure exactly how to do that. What is team building? What's the profit pool? And you want to know, there you go, you got a training, right? Travel booking Q&A. This is huge, and I say this because this is the travel booking Q&A is there purposely because you have a monster killer travel booker that's going to host this training as a Q&A. You go on there, you have a booking that you're working on, and if you have questions like, hey, I have this booking, I have no idea where to start, I just started yesterday, can you please help me? They're going to walk you through it. Okay, so don't be scared. I'll be honest, I was never someone that was like, let me get in a Zoom and ask questions. No, I would literally be the one trying to, hoping and praying that somebody would ask the question that I wanted to ask, because I was just too scared to ask questions. And this is when I first started. But I realized I was hurting myself more than anything, because there were times where nobody would ask the question that I needed asked. And so I had to really get out of my comfort zone and remind myself it's okay. This is what they're there for. They're there to help you. Okay. Here's another opportunity for travel ad creation using Vax, and then co-working. Co-working, there's a co-working session tonight with Victoria, and there's a co-working session tomorrow with Halia. Those are both great sessions for you to hop on. You're working on something, you're working on a booking, you're working on some team building tasks, maybe you're working on creating your business cards, and you want to work with one of the travel leaders and maybe ask for advice like, hey, Victoria, how would you set this up? Or what do you think of this travel ad? Or, something like that. So it gives you an opportunity to, again, ask questions. All right. So the purpose of me showing you the training schedule is so that way you're not so overwhelmed by everything that you see here. Okay. Don't fill your day with just being busy, with attending trainings, doing certifications, because it's not going to do you any good if all you're doing is attending trainings, doing certifications, and not actually applying the information, or if it's not actually making you any money, right? Are those certifications that you're doing, is it awesome to get certifications? 1000%, right? But ask yourself, is it necessary for me to get 1,000,001 certifications if I haven't had a booking yet? Is it going to make me any money if I get a certification? No, exactly, Rebecca. Thank you. No. So I do believe certifications are important, right? But they're important to a certain degree. Is it important for you to fill your day with certification after certification, for you to say that you have 25 certifications, but you have really nothing to show for it on the other end? Then on that side, my answer would be no. Okay. Same thing with trainings. Is it going to do you any good to fill your entire day with trainings and not actually apply any of the information that you learned, or attending trainings that are kind of just, you're not even interested, right? So ask yourself, what kind of travel do I want to book? What do I want to specialize in? And then from there, see if there's any trainings during the day that are live that you can attend that will satisfy that. Now, if there's not any live trainings that would satisfy your niche or whatever, you can always watch some recorded trainings as well. Okay. So, makes sense, guys? Any questions with that? Yes. Awesome. Okay. All right. So, let me go back to my notes here. So for those of us that were new, Deanna, recorded trainings will be found on the Travel Knowledge website. Let me show you. Okay, Travel Knowledge website, travel recorded trainings right here. You're going to find all these categories, okay? So let's say you're working on a group, hit group bookings, and here is going to show you how to book group cruises, weddings, social trips, things like that, okay? That's where you'll be able to find the recordings. Yep, you're welcome. Okay, so for those of us that, well, not for those of us, everybody on here already does, right? We've already gotten our certification. We kind of, maybe let's say we did business cards. We're now prioritizing what's most important, right? Prioritizing which trainings are going to be most important for us for the day. Practicing, for example, I'm going to share my screen again with you really quick. Let me... That's not what I want to do. Sorry, guys. Okay, let me go back here. There we go. Prioritizing what trainings are going to be most important for you that day, okay? But also trying to figure out what is going to be your sales process, right? Now that let's say you have a client and you're like, okay, well, how do I know what questions I'm going to ask them, right? How do I talk to them on the phone? I don't know how to carry that conversation, right? So when you go to travel recorded trainings, travel forms and basics, this is going to give you all 3 different forms here, okay? Cruise inquiry form, Disney, and land inquiry form. They're going to be guides, all right? They're going to give you prompts and questions to ask your client as you're going through your consultation with them, okay? And you're going to ask these questions on the phone. Obviously, as it says here on the screen, you're not going to give this form to your client, be like, hey, fill it out, give it back to me later, right? No, you're going to go through these questions with your client and look at this little section here, okay? And to be honest, I think these are my notes. I think these are my notes that I shared. So copy these, all right? These are my notes. I take pretty good notes, not to pat myself on the back, but I do. All right, so these are different tips on how to talk to clients, okay? Setting up the consult, do's and don'ts, be prepared to book, don't forget, okay? So you're going to find that on the travel forms and basics, okay? So then these recorded videos are going to show you, how to talk to clients. You got a travel request, now what? You booked your client, now what do you do, right? So it kind of is going to walk you through different like sales processes that you can start to implement. But remember, okay, the notes that are there for you that I took, the recorded trainings that you see here for you, they are guides, okay? These are things that a lot of us have done and implemented because we've been doing this now for a few years. And it's just what's worked. It's what works for us, right? But you as an individual, you're going to start to implement your own process, okay? So you'll be able to decide, well, I kind of like what Perla said on over here, but I really like how Halia finishes the consultation or whatever. Or I really like how Victoria sends a follow-up email after every single phone consult or something. I don't know, right? You're going to pick up little tips from everyone that you get trainings on and you're going to develop your own process. Okay. So don't feel like you have to literally copy and paste everything that someone is doing. Um, but if it works for you, then copy it, right? Obviously, it's going to be one of those things that it took me a while to figure out how I want to do things, but it was a trial and error. If I found like, oh, that wasn't really good, I'd say, okay, next time I'm going to do this instead of X, Y, and Z. Okay. So, make sure that you have an idea on how it is that you want to coordinate those consultations, how you would do them, organize yourself with the inquiry forms, whether if you create an inquiry form yourself, like I'll show you mine. I have an inquiry form that I created on Google Form. Okay. I have this form that I created on Google Form. This is what it looks like if somebody clicks on my link, all right? It's going to ask them all this information. The only reason I have this here is because I have it on my social media pages and on my link tree. So if someone is kind of browsing and they're like, oh, I want to plan a vacation with her, or I want her to plan my vacation, they can click that link and they can input their information, and I'll immediately get an email that someone submitted my form. But this does not take place of the consultation. Do not mistake that, okay? This is something that it triggers a response for me, meaning that once they fill this out, I'm going to reach out to them and I'm still going to schedule a consultation with them, but it's just to review the information. It's just to review the info for us to discuss, right? And usually what always happens is every time I have the consultation after they've filled this out on their own, they end up either changing some things or having additional questions, right? So that's the benefit to always getting on the phone with your client. So that way, because if I go based off of their initial responses, I could make a mistake, right? They could maybe have done a typo in the dates or whatever, right? So always get on the phone with your client, regardless if they filled out your form or what. Okay. I will share the Google form with you guys. Use it as a guide to create your own. It's very actually easy to create the Google form. Um, but you cannot just make sure that you don't use this same link to share with people because it's going to come right to me, those requests. Okay. So I'll put it in the chat for you guys. Okay. All right. Let me go back over here. Okay, so we did all those things, right? So moving on to how to establish your online presence. We all have social media, right? Everybody here has social media, Facebook, I would assume. Yes, or some sort of social media. Okay. So if you guys did not attend or watch my Facebook Level Up on Facebook Part 1 and Part 2 trainings, definitely do that, because I'm not going to go into detail about how to set up your Facebook today or different things like that, because I just did a training on it. If I don't know if somebody would be able to share those links in the chat for those people that didn't, but if not, we can share them at the end. But it's important to make sure, let me pull up my Facebook. Okay. It is important to make sure that your Facebook, you have it set up appropriately, meaning nice profile picture, a cover photo sharing what it is that you do, a short little intro, which unfortunately Facebook limits you, I think, to only like 120 characters. So you got to get a little bit creative here. Your links here as well. So this is what I was talking about, my link tree. So if they go over to my link tree, they will see just a little bit of information about me, just very quick, right? So here's that form. There's that link that they'll be able to go and fill out my form. They'll be able to go to my mastery guides that I created and also my website that I created. Okay. So any links that you have, so if you have a website, you can use your Eva website if you want. You can use, thank you, Christian. You can use if you created your own website or a way to contact you, right? A way to contact you. Because when they click the link tree, they'll now be able to go over to my TikTok. They can then go over to my Instagram and then they can go back over to my Facebook. Okay. Um, so just making sure that you have your Facebook set up appropriately, meaning, like, for example, one thing that I was a little hesitant on doing when I first started was I was kind of not always told, but I kind of got the impression that to really get myself out there, I needed to make sure that my profile was no longer private. Okay. Um, and the reason for that is because if it's private, who's going to see it? You're limiting yourself to your 300 friends, right? So that was one thing that I was like, I don't know that I want to make my profile public. So what I did instead was I still made it public, but all the information that I had on there, pictures, like I used to share pictures of my son, and I was just kind of very always open on Facebook and things like that. I took it all down. I hid everything. So all my pictures of my son are still here on Facebook, but it's only private, only I can see it. Okay. So I made it public. And the reason I did that was because I knew, okay, if I really want to get myself out there, if I really want people to see me and find me, right? And they're not limited to what they can see on my page, then it's going to help me in my business. Okay. And I will say that that's exactly what happened. People are nosy. And if you say that you're not nosy, you're lying because I'm nosy, right? I will go and I'll click on somebody's profile and I'll just scroll and I'll see, okay, what can I see on this person? What's this person about, right? So if I'm like that, I know other people are like that. So I cleaned up my Facebook. I hid all the pictures that I didn't want the public to see, the world to see, took my son off of everything. I don't share pictures of my son rarely or my daughter for it's intuitive, not nosy. Yeah. So I don't share pictures of the kids more so because I feel like people are crazy on the internet. And so I keep it to just myself and my husband, right? In terms of what our photos. Um, and I changed my entire profile to now revolve around my travel business, but I'm not spammy about it. Okay. And I'm going to show you now, if you have a chance to look and to watch the Facebook trainings that I did this past week, like the last 2 weeks for part one and part two, I definitely recommend you to do that because you'll see that I really focus on the personal page. I have a business page. Okay. It's right over here. I can switch right over to my business page if I want to, but I don't use it as much as I use my personal page. And the reason for that is because people want to know you. People want to trust you and they're only going to work with people that they know, like, and trust. All right. The same way that you're not going to work with someone that you haven't actually spoken to on the phone. You're not going to give them your credit card information if you've never spoken to them. You may not necessarily trust them if you can't even really see their face on their profile or really see anything on their profile page, right? Let alone any business. Okay. So when you scroll through my Facebook page, you'll see I post a variety of things, motivational quotes, reels. I'll do, like, for example, this photo was from this past weekend, and this was the best I could do to kind of blur my son's face out a little bit. But I was so proud of him. They won the championship at his flag football tournament on Saturday, right? So I'll post things like that, right? But that's really the only time I'll ever really post this picture, as long as it's like blurred out like that. Um, some other reels. That was when I was at his tournament again, freezing and getting frostbite. So you see the stuff that I'm posting is kind of stuff that I'm doing, right? What am I doing today? Like last week I hosted a presentation. I wanted to share it. If anybody was interested in wanting to join the presentation, they could get the information from me if they wanted. Goal setting that I did last week with Charles Lee. What I did for my client, right? So I spent over 40 minutes on the phone for two clients trying to go through some travel issues and conflicts that came up, right? So almost kind of like showcasing my service, what it is that I do as a travel agent for people, or what it is that I'm working on. So I just booked a trip last week, right? So different things like that. So you see that I'm talking about travel, but I'm not spamming people, and I'm not telling people like, hey, come book with me, or hey, come be a travel agent, right? It's very like sprinkled on. And I'm actually going to share with you I think I have it written down here. Oh no, that's the next part. So we'll get to that in a second, okay? So decide which social media platform you want to use, okay? Decide which one it is that you want to use and stick to it, okay? There's so many different social media platforms out there that you could do all of them, right? But maybe not do all of them effectively. So what I like to do is I initially stuck with Facebook, and now I'm implementing Instagram, right? Because I feel like I kind of have a good bearing on Facebook that I can now start implementing another one. And I'm starting to kind of learn how to utilize Instagram appropriately and effectively. Okay. So stick to just one and master that one, and then open up to another one. All right. That's the whole point of that. Okay. And ultimately, just be yourself, be unique, be yourself. People love to see you. People love to know that you're a human too, and that funny things happen to you, or maybe embarrassing things happen to you, right? So that's where I'll start to utilize stories. Stories is, if for those that don't know, are only available for 24 hours, and use stories as a way to kind of give an inside look to what's going on in your current life today, right? So for example, I didn't get a chance to, but after this training, I'm going to do a story on my Instagram and Facebook, and I'm going to share that I hosted this training for you guys and kind of what we spoke about and things like that. And, I went grocery shopping early this morning because I had this training today, so it can be the most stupidest thing, right? But it's to be present and to be relevant, right? You always want to be consistent and posting on a daily basis, multiple times a day, to be relevant and to be always showing up on people's feeds, right? Because what's going to happen, people need to see something several times before they actually make a decision what to either to buy or to reach out to you and say, hey, I saw that you're a travel agent. I've been following your stuff for some time. Can you help me? I've been looking to plan a trip, right? That's happened to me a few times. Some people they may be people that don't even follow or don't even like the stuff that I post, but they'll reach out and they'll say, hey, I've been seeing your posts and I really want to plan a trip. Can you help me? Right? So don't stop showing up and don't stop posting just because you're not getting that much engagement, right? It's going to take some time, especially if you're someone that is just now all of a sudden posting regularly on Facebook. People are not used to that, right? Especially if you were someone that wasn't really posting too often before, and now you're kind of starting to build up attraction. Be patient, okay? But it takes that consistency. All right. So different things that you can do to promote yourself effectively. All right. These are going to be different tips or strategies to position yourself as an expert. Okay. So for those of you that follow other uh businesses on Facebook or Instagram, right? Or maybe service providers. What are different types of posts or information that you see them share? Just put it in the chat for me. Just think about maybe a service provider. Yeah, tips. Yeah. Anything else? Flyers, inspiration, ads. Specials. Okay. Experiences. Yeah. Fun, quirky stuff, their business card. Yeah, exactly. So think about other businesses that you follow and look at the stuff that they're posting. Okay. And ask yourself, well, why am I not doing the same thing? Why am I not doing the same thing and just applying it to the travel industry? Okay. If you want to be seen as the travel expert in cruises, I don't know, I'm just throwing something out there. Let's say you want to specialize in cruises. If you want to be known and um if you want to be known for your expertise and your knowledge in cruises, then why not take the same information, the same types of strategies that you see other business owners do and apply it to yourself, apply it to your own posts. That can be static posts meaning like a photo with like a caption, so just something like simple like that. It can be tips and tricks. So tips and tricks on packing for your next cruise, or packing tips and tricks, or tips and tricks on how to know which cruise ship to sail on. So think of things like that, or travel hacks, or did you know that Royal Caribbean is whatever the largest cruise ship? I don't know, right? I don't specialize in cruises, so I have no idea those tips and tricks or did you knows. But do things like that, okay? Do different posts that will show your knowledge and your authority in that particular space, okay? Whether if it's cruise travel, whether if it's family, luxury, wedding travel, group travel, right? People want to know that you know what you're talking about, okay? Make sure that whatever your story is, don't be afraid to share your story, meaning why you got started as a travel agent, or how it even happened, or why now you specialize in X, Y, and Z. Okay. It's important to build that credibility and trust on social media, and just in general, right? When you're in conversations with people, networking or whatever, but you're able to really build that credibility and trust even more when you share testimonials and experiences from your clients' mouths. Okay. So don't be afraid to ask your client for feedback on the booking process. Don't be afraid to ask your client for feedback on, now that they came back from their trip, what was their favorite part? What did they like the best on either your services or the accommodations that you did for them? Also with conversations with your clients. So sometimes I'll just even scroll through conversations I've had with my client. Like I have a screenshot actually from yesterday that I'm going to be using as a post this week. They just finished their Disney trip for the first time, and she's like, "You're the best. Thank you so much." Whatever. I can use that screenshot and just use it as a post, right? That shows, what is it going to show to people if they see that text? It's going to show that credibility, that trustworthiness, right? They're going to see that from my client's mouth, this is how they felt about me, about their Disney trip that they just took. Okay. Maybe share what you're working on. Share like what I just showed you earlier, what I was working on, what I did that day. I was on hold for some clients. Or maybe let's say you don't have any clients right now that you're working with. So don't completely discredit that, or cross that off. If you don't have any clients that you're working with, or working on any bookings, share, like for example, there's been some times where I have shared, let's say if I'm not working with any clients, I have shared like some research in terms of, oh, I'll say, oh, I'm working with some clients, and I'm looking into these two resorts to kind of match their preferences. Or maybe that's where I will take information from the emails that we receive from our vendors and take information from there. If you guys don't have Agent at Home, I'm going to see if I can get the link for you guys to register for those that don't have access to it yet. Um, it is a free magazine that comes to your house every single month. Let me see if I can find it. You can register with them for free. And every single month, you will be able to get a magazine. And it's kind of just like an inside scoop to the travel industry, what's currently going on, the Travi Awards, things like that, right? So I absolutely love getting that magazine. I'm gonna have to find it for you guys later because I cannot find it right now. But if for whatever reason I'm like, oh, I don't know what to post, I haven't worked on a booking in a little bit because I don't have any clients right now, I'll just take this magazine. I'm like, okay, what can I share today? Right. And I'll do a reel. I will do like a static post. I'll share like a did you know? Um, those types of things. Okay. So don't say that you don't have access to content, or don't say, oh, I'm not working on anything, Perla, I can't post, because you have access to so many different things. Okay. I think it is Janet. I think so. I know that there's like a form that you can fill out to register. Okay. So moving on to different social media posting strategies. So think about, kind of tying into what I just said about content, plan out your content, plan out what it is that you're going to post, and think about what you're going to post, what to post, and when to post it, and plan it out. All right. You can either do it on a week-to-week basis, you can do on a 30-day content planner. Think about it this way. If you do 30 days, right? I know it sounds daunting and it's like, oh, Perla, I don't think I can plan out my content for a whole month. Okay. But think about it this way. If there's 4 weeks in a month, okay, now let's say moving into January, you start fresh with January, or however you want to do it, come up with 4 topics or 4 ideas for each week. And then you're going to focus all of your content around that main idea. Okay. So let's say one week you're going to talk about cruises. I don't know. One day you're going to talk about family cruises. Let's say you're specializing in cruises. One week you're going to talk about family cruises. Next week you're going to talk about adults only cruises. The following week you're going to talk about river cruises. And the fourth week you're going to talk about, I don't know, luxury cruises. Okay. So every week, those 4 weeks, now that entire week, you're going to focus on that main topic. You're going to go back to that main topic. And now you're going to do different types of posts that are going to support that main topic. So it can be static posts. It can be, did you know? It can be tips and tricks, hacks, things like that. Okay. Now, one thing I will share, I just actually got this from Courtney Palladino, actually, is a 4-2-1 posting strategy. I'm going to share it here in the chat. I don't know that it's going to come through. Oh, it did. Okay. So 4-2-1 daily strategy. This is posting on a daily basis. So 4 meaning posting 4 non-travel related posts on Facebook. 2, so 2 sprinkles, meaning has to do with travel. So it can be either in comments, or it can be like a post that you're doing, right? And then 1 hard sale. That 1 hard sale would be that travel ad, if you're talking about bookings, or it could be team building, like, hey, come be a travel agent, join my team type of hard sale. Okay. So implement that daily. All right. Use different hashtags, keywords to increase your reach. More so, I say that for Instagram. I know Facebook does do hashtags as well, but to be honest, I personally don't use hashtags often on Facebook. I will use them more so on Instagram, and that's where I'm able to increase my reach and reach other people that don't follow me because of those hashtags and keywords. Okay. And kind of tying back into the stories and reels and other types of features. This is very important. Okay. So if we're talking specifically about Facebook, Facebook is all about engagement. Facebook is all about like a little bit of stories, like, yeah, but I will say Instagram is more so heavy on the stories, but Facebook is about engagement. So focus on what is really important and relevant on that platform and leverage that. Okay. So for example, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about Instagram, but I'm just going to talk about this really quick. On Instagram, Reels is huge. Okay. So I will use Reels on Instagram to increase my reach. It's very important to do that because if you limit yourself to just the regular static posts and posting whatever, it's not going to reach that many more people. Okay. Think about the type of world and society that we live in now. It is fast paced, right? It is always going, 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 going. People want to be able to see something, get what they want to hear, and then move on to the next. So they're able to do that on Reels. They're able to do that on TikTok, right? That's why we all scroll for so long on TikTok because we're able to either be entertained so quickly or get a tip or a life hack or something, and we can scroll to the next. And it's a quick 5, 10, 15-second video. Okay. So utilize those different features of those platforms. It's very, very important, and leverage that because you'll be able to push and get your business out to the next level. It's also important too, you're able to see exactly who is seeing your content. It's not something that I can show you on my computer because I don't have access, I don't think, to my um, Instagram on here. I don't know why it doesn't log on for me on Instagram, but I wanted to show you. Let me see. Mm, let me see if it'll work. If it doesn't work, that's okay. Okay, yeah, it's not working. All right, that's fine. I just wanted to show you how you could actually see who is viewing your content, whether if it's followers versus not followers. And that's something that you can specifically view on Instagram. You can see it on Facebook too, but I've been kind of focusing more so on Instagram right now. Okay, so in terms of how are we going to set ourselves apart from other people? Personally, I don't feel that we are in competition with each other. Yes, we all provide the same service in terms of travel planning, travel booking, accommodations, things like that. But we all have different types of specialties. We all like different things and we all live in different places. Okay. So you can say you can be in competition with maybe your local travel business down the street. All right. So think about how can you set yourself apart from someone else in your local city, local town, things like that. Think about what is the key, what is the takeaway that you want clients to know about you? Do you want them to know you for your expert knowledge on cruises? Do you want them to know you as the cheap travel agent, budget travel agent? Okay, so think about those things. The reason I say that is because I made the mistake when I first started to only promote myself as the cheap travel agent. And the way I did that mistakenly was I would always give like the cheapest deal. And I would always say, like, I can get you like the cheapest deal, things like that, right? Now, I wasn't lying, right? But the message that that gave was, oh, she's going to be cheap. I'm going to go with her. And then what happens is I'm in communication with Sally, and Sally ends up not booking with me because she's able to find it $1 less on Expedia. So you see how I'm not really setting up my value and I'm not really setting up, my service. Okay. So after doing that for a little bit, I was like, okay, well, this isn't working, right? I don't want to be known as the cheap travel agent because what's going to happen when you book cheap, you don't really get a good experience majority of the time, right? So I didn't want my name to be tied to that. I didn't want my name or my business name to be tied to, oh, well, Perla booked me this cheap 3-star hotel. I didn't want that. Okay. So I then switched it. And so rather than me saying I can get you the cheapest price, I always say I can get you the best price. Okay. I can get you the best price for your travel preferences, best price for your blah, 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 considering X, Y, and Z, right? I always say best. And the reason I say that is because, yeah, I am going to always try to get you the best price. Is it sometimes going to be cheaper than the regular consumer sites? Absolutely. But is it always? No. All right. But I always sell my value. I always present and build up my value. Hey, this is what I can do for you. I take the planning out of your hands, seamless travel experience, travel planning experience from start to finish. All you have to do is just pack your bags and check in. Okay. I take care of everything. And that's where I really um, focus on during the consultation with the client. All right. With that, focus on what is it that you want to specialize in, meaning like your niche, or do you want to do cruises? Do you want to only do Disney? Do you only want to do Universal, like theme parks? Family travel, disability travel, or special needs travel, adults only, honeymoon, wedding, right? There's so many different umbrellas of travel. Think about, what do you like? Okay. If you're struggling with deciding on what type of travel to focus on, ask yourself first, what do you like? Right? What do you love to do? Right? And then from there, or maybe what has impacted you, right? Maybe you are someone that has had to travel with someone with a disability or with special needs, and you know all the different tips and the ins and outs on how to make it easier for families with those extra services that they're going to need, right? And if that is something that you have, that's a huge type of population that you can tap into, because there's even a lot of families with children with autism that they feel that they cannot travel because their child will get overstimulated, or it might trigger something in their child, right? But there's a lot of travel actually that's tailored to children with autism. And so it's not anything that I'm well versed in. I just know that it's out there and it's available, and there's a whole population group for that. Okay. So don't feel like, I will say that when I first started, I thought that specializing in something was going to be too narrow. Like it was going to actually limit my ability to get clients. And actually, it's the quite opposite. I actually have a very clear picture of who it is that I want to work with. And it makes it easy for me, right? If I already know I want to work with this type of clientele, then it's going to make it easy for me. If somebody comes that doesn't fit that criteria, I will just say, I'm sorry, we're not a good fit, you know? Yeah, exactly. Wellness travel as well. That's a huge that's a huge topic as well, in terms of like spa, wellness retreats, things like that. Actually, there was an agent, I can't think of her name right now at the moment, but I know that she most recently did a wellness retreat type of booking. So it's definitely out there. So think about that, right? Think about, and I can't answer that for you. All right. That's something that's individualized in terms of what it is that you want to specialize in, um, and what you enjoy to do. Okay. But let's say now you have that figured out. Okay. Now define who your target audience is. Who's going to be that perfect client for you that falls in that type of specialty travel. Okay. So think about that. Think about, who's the ideal client? Where do they hang out? What do they like to do? What is their exactly, Christian, middle-aged family? So even ask yourself, what's the age group? Do they have kids? Are they older adults? Like I know one um agent in particular, she only targets older adults, like retirement age. Why? Because she's like, they have the money to travel, and they have the time to travel. So it's not ever an issue when they're booking, right? Whereas when you have families, not that it's wrong to specialize with family travel, but you may be a little bit more limited there in terms of time because of kids' school, or because of money. Okay. So think about the age group of your ideal client. Think about, where do they like to hang out? What do they like to do? And from there, that's going to help you. If you're able to identify all of those things, that's then going to help you get yourself out there, right? Because if you say, okay, I really want to focus, let's just use the family travel, right? Um, I really want to focus on family travel and I really want to focus on Disney. Okay, Disney is my passion, or maybe theme parks are my passion, Disney and Universal. I want to focus on those and I want to focus on families. Okay, so where do they hang out? Where are families that love to go to Disney? Where do they hang out? Theme parks. Yep, theme parks. Anywhere else? Think like local. Like especially if you don't live nearby a theme park. The pool, okay, bowling alleys. Those are different places you could potentially go to in person, right? Also think about, or skating rinks, yep. Also think about on Facebook or social media, because those are places in your local area, in your local town or community that you could go out to and network, right, with other people and say, hey, either leave a flyer at the pool, leave a flyer at the bowling alley, leave a flyer at the skating rink or at the theme park, right? Or if you're someone that's always constantly going to these theme parks, or maybe someone that you have so much knowledge already, you can then utilize your own personal experience and you can think about Facebook groups. Think about how many Facebook groups there are for Disney. Okay. The only thing you have to be careful with in Facebook groups is a lot of those Facebook groups may already be run by other travel agents. And so they may have strict rules and restrictions that if you try to go in there to try to promote your services, they'll kick you out. So there's a workaround. Okay. And I think I mentioned it in my Facebook training. So definitely reference that. Okay. There definitely is a workaround there. All right. Also, once you have identified your specialty, once you have identified your ideal client, be consistent across your branding, across all of the platforms. So let's say you created a logo that we spoke about a little bit ago when we first started the training. Be consistent. So if your logo is purple, green, and red, that's not a really good color combination, but let's say it is purple, green, and red. Make sure that those colors are consistent across all of your social media platforms, wherever it is that you're posting, if you're using multiple platforms at one time. Okay. The reason for that is because we're visual people, right? Everybody is visual. So we can automatically know if we think of Coca-Cola, what comes to our mind? Their red logo. If we think of Apple, what comes to our mind? Their white apple, right? So these huge businesses and corporations and companies have utilized branding purposely so that way we can immediately just say a word, Snickers or Butterfinger or M&Ms, and we immediately have a picture in our mind of the logo and of their branding and things like that. So very same thing applies to us in the travel business. Think of your logo, think of how it is that you want to be known, your colors, your theme, right? Also realize, and I think I did a training on this before too, on branding and setting yourself apart from other people. Colors mean certain things. There's certain colors that will trigger an emotional response, whether if it's a very dark, strong color or a very light, cool color. It's going to trigger a different response from each other. So think about that too. Okay. Now, when you are moving on, oh, one other thing too, if you're using multiple platforms, I know that I said that if you're sticking to one platform, just stick to that one platform and just stick to it, right? But this is for those people that may utilize Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. You can create one piece of content and repurpose it across all those other platforms. All right. Like for example, I have created a reel on Instagram, and I've created the content from that reel and created a carousel post. Or I have then used that same reel that I created on Instagram and posted it on Facebook, but with a different audio. Okay. Because each platform is going to be unique in terms of what audio is trending, what audio is not trending. People are different in the way that they like to view things. Some people like reels, some people like carousel posts. So I purposely have been creating content that I know that I can repurpose into multiple things. I can then take a reel and make a post out of it, a carousel post, or vice versa. Or I can then take my reel on TikTok or Instagram or whatever and share it on Facebook. Same thing, but it's just going to be a different audio. Okay, so just work smarter, not harder. So don't make it harder for yourself if you're using multiple platforms to try to figure out, okay, well, what's something new that I can post on Facebook versus what I just posted on Instagram? Post the same thing. Just tailor it to the platform, right? Because there's going to be trending hashtags, there's going to be trending audio that's going to only be specific for that platform. Okay. So moving on, we are almost done, guys. I thought I was going to be a lot longer, but we're almost done. Okay. So creating and posting travel ads. So for those that oh, thank you, Christy. I'm so glad this has been so helpful. I hope it's been helpful so far for you guys. So for creating and posting travel ads, okay, I was actually going to create a travel ad with you guys, but for the sake of time, I think that it would be better if I just show you ones that I have created in the past, and kind of different tips on how I create mine, okay? But for those that have yet to attend a travel ad workshop, right? I already showed you where to find it on the training schedule, okay? So there's one tonight, there's one tomorrow. Attend those, okay? Because that's going to give you content, all right? If you're saying I don't have content, that's going to give you content, okay? So let me pull up here. I love Canva, okay? If you're someone that knows me, I absolutely love Canva. I will use Canva for everything, okay? So for that reason, I have the pro version of Canva because I felt like it was worth it for me to pay for it because I use it so frequently. But you don't have to do the pro version of Canva. I did not do the pro version of Canva until maybe like last year. So, and I've been doing this now for almost 3 years. So I used it for 2 years without having to pay for it. So you can 100% do that. Okay. So don't feel like you have to pay for something if you don't, if you don't want to. Okay. So let me just share with you. Here's one, or actually, let me go back. I don't want to share that one. When you're looking at travel, when you're doing a travel ad, okay, think about when you're scrolling on Facebook, because we're talking about Facebook right now. When you're scrolling on Facebook, you want something to be eye-catching, okay? You don't want something to be like, nah, that's boring. Someone's going to scroll, all right? So think about how can I capture somebody's attention with my flyer, whether if you're making a flyer, whether if you're creating or just posting some photos with maybe like a caption. So think about think about that. All right, I'm scrolling here, guys, to find. Okay, found some. Okay, perfect. I found them. All right. All right, let me share my screen. Okay. So think about something that's eye-catching on how you're able to really capture somebody's attention. So here's one that I did on Canva. Okay. There's one. Hold on, my things here are messed up. Let me go back. Let me see if I can open in a new tab. There we go. Here's another one. So you see how I kind of put more of an importance on the title, what it is, and then I'll give the brief information, what the deposit is per person, the travel dates, what that package includes, things like that. I think this was another one. No, that wasn't. I do so many, no, that's not one either. Here's another one. So here's another one, Riviera Maya Spring Break. This was for earlier this year. So colors that are like eye-catching, fonts that are, are going to stop the scroll. Here's another one. So really eye-catching, okay? Is kind of just the theme that I'm trying to go for here. All right. So make sure that when you're creating a travel ad, it's not just like a mundane, boring photo that someone's just going to scroll by. All right. Think about what is going to make you stop the scroll. Okay. Use images and captions and use a call to action effectively. So call to action meaning, let's say you're going to do a Cancun trip. All right. So maybe the call to action is going to be text Cancun to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know what I mean? So you want a call to action, which is what do you want them to do? Okay. Utilizing Canva in particular, I love Canva because I feel like it gives you templates, and then from there you can make it your own and personalize it, add your logo, do colors, branding colors, things like that. Okay. And this is something that's a little bit more advanced, but once you post something, you can then analyze the metrics and the analytics and things like that over a period of time to see how well it performed, meaning how well or how many people saw this post, how many people clicked on it. That's what I like to do. Okay. Now, it's important as we move on to like tips and techniques for long-term success. It's important to really build and like, really build that relationship with your client. Okay. Make sure that you have a proper sales process in place, meaning all the way from the initial contact, how they get in contact with you, from the consultation to the travel planning stage, to now that they traveled, now that they're in destination, and now that they're back home. That's a whole sales process, okay? And stick to it. It's important that once you create a sales process that you stick to it, because if the moment, and I tell you this based on experience, the moment you stray from your sales process, doesn't work. It's happened to me all the time. I'll be like, oh, I'll just do this this time, I'll make this exception for, this client or whatever, and then ends up not even working out. Okay. So stick to the sales process, whatever it is that you have, and just don't stray from it. Okay. Make sure that you get connected with the vendors, meaning, for example, my email, for those that use Gmail, and I'm not sure if this comes through with Yahoo or any other email provider out there, but my emails from the vendors and suppliers always come through under my promotions tab on Gmail. So if I ever want to see if there's some sort of email that came through, training opportunity that came through our suppliers, I will go through the promotions tab and go through there. All right. So it's separate from my inbox, from my regular inbox. So stay connected and plugged into the emails that our vendors send us. Once you're registered with vendors, you're going to be on their email list now. Now they're going to send you emails. Like, for example, I just got an email last week from Vacation Express for an in-person training event. They have a travel trade show plus an in-person training event sometime in March. And they have different locations in the East Coast, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, whatever. So I registered. I was like, yes, I qualify for this. I'm going to register. So it's important to stay up to date and stay plugged in. And if you ever see any email that comes through from our vendors that has either a training to register for or an in-person event, 1000% register for it. It's important for you to get in the room and be there and be present, because you're going to learn so many things from either other travel agents that are there or just from the supplier itself. Okay. And that ties into staying up to date with the trends and changes in the travel industry, meaning the emails that our travel suppliers are sending us are going to be updated with travel news, meaning, passport changes, or now the Real ID that's going to be starting up in the last I heard was May 2025, right? So if there's ever any changes to that, if there's changes now to entry requirements into Europe, I know that now starting next year, there's going to be entry requirements for US citizens going to Europe. You're going to have to apply for some sort of it's not a visa, it's something else in order to enter into Europe. So it's important to stay up to date on those things, but it's not that you have to know everything, right? Because I most certainly don't know everything. If there's ever anything that I doubt, I will go straight to Google and I will, verify with a trusted site like a travel.state.gov site or something like that to, verify my sources. All right. Make sure that you track your progress. So going through all of these steps and tips and techniques that I gave you throughout this time, track your progress. Just figure out, okay, am I going to start with all of these tips today, right? And over the next week, see what has happened. Has there been any increase in your followers? Has there been more comments on your posts or things like that? And celebrate small wins, okay? Don't be so discouraged if you realize like, oh, or not realize, but don't be so discouraged if you're like, oh, well, I didn't go viral overnight, so I guess that's it. Nobody's going to go viral overnight and nobody's going to get 100,000,000 views on a post just like that, okay? Does it sometimes happens very randomly? Yeah, I'm not going to lie about that. But if you're doing things strategically and like in a certain way that we just spoke about, it's going to take some time, but you have to build up that consistency. And once you do, you're going to just notice that momentum and that increase on your social media pages and for your business. Okay. So with all of that being said, I have now for those of you that have attended my trainings ever before, you know that I never ever give any homework ever. But I felt like this was a really good training for me to give you something that you can actually take some actionable steps and work on and do them. Okay. Now, I'm not going to be checking on you to see if you did your homework, right? We're all adults here. This is something that what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. All right. But if you're going to attend this training and then not actually do any changes or make any changes, then the only one that's hurting is you. And the only one that's going to suffer is you and your travel business. So I only tell you that out of experience. It's important for you to, once you do a training or listen to a training, to then implement it. Okay. So I'm going to share with you guys a document here. Let me just change it. Let me make sure everything is here. Okay. So share, copy link. Okay. So I'm going to share it here in the chat with you. And you guys will be able to see a series of should be 8, or no, 6 steps. And under each of those 6 steps, it's going to have you do some actionable items based on every single thing that we spoke about today. Okay. I'm going to upload this training onto my YouTube so that way you guys can reference it if you need to go back to it. But this is going to be some great things just to get you started. All right. And I promise you that if you follow this, even if you're someone that has been already doing this for some time, but maybe you're just feel a little lost and not really sure on how to really get your social media back on track, or really how to get yourself out there again because you've been struggling with marketing and things like that, this is really going to help you. Okay. Let me see. It seems like everybody can access it, right? I see that some people are on here already. Yes. Okay. Lily, either try to copy the link or just click the link directly from the chat, because I believe everybody else has access to it. Okay. So what questions can I answer for you guys? If we have our own website, do we have to have the Archer logo and information? Honestly, Stephanie, I don't. I believe that is just for the business cards. How can I change my specialization? So, Marian, so that's just going to be your own individual thing. So, if now, let's say you were specializing in family travel, and now all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, I actually really love cruises and I want to focus on cruise travel, then just make that switch. Just make that switch. That's just going to be like, for example, rather than you posting um family travel stuff now, you're going to now focus on the cruise travel. So create business cards like on Canva. Then go to Vistaprint and have them printed. Dina, yes, you could. Personally, I've never used Vistaprint to create a business card. I've only used it to order like pens when I did like a bridal show. But I know on Vistaprint, you can just create the business card on there rather than having to do it on a different platform. So if you want to go with Vistaprint, absolutely you can. Um, I just don't know how the platform works for business cards. Can you recommend a good training for starting to use Canva? Yeah, Lee, I will. I believe there is one. Um, I think there was someone that did a training on how to use Canva. I cannot remember exactly who it was and where that training is, if there was one. Yeah, I can't find one here on the website right now. I was gonna say, I think maybe it was Sukanya. I'll have to ask her for that training. Awesome, Christy. Yeah, I know that would be very helpful for a lot of agents too. Marian, I'm a little confused on what you mean by the website, changing it on the website. What website do you prefer to create business cards? Dina, I did that on Canva. I created a business card on Design. Can I import it into Canva and order it there? I believe you could, because Canva does give you an option to upload like photos or designs or things like that. Like I was able to upload my logo on there, and things like that. So it doesn't hurt to try that. I would make sure that when you're creating on Canva, Mary, that you make sure that you do like a business card uh template. So that way it's the size of the business card. Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions, guys? Yes, Stephanie, Canva does have AI now.